Welcome to another vintage home tour. My name's Renee Pena, preservation advocate here in beautiful Eastside Costa Mesa. And today we are going to be seeing another property in the 4th Annual Historical Homes calendar. This home is proudly featured in the month of January. These homes are invaluable to Costa Mesa's history, culture, heritage, and most importantly, to the charm, nostalgia, and character that our neighborhood is so well known for and why so many people love to call Costa Mesa home. We're going to be meeting the owner who's owned this property since the 1970s. And as a bonus, the grandson of the original owners who had this property custom built in 1933. Welcome to 249 Flower Street, this beautiful and unique California Spanish bungalow.
Hi, I'm Melinda, and welcome to Flower Street in my Eastside Costa Mesa home. Come on in and I'll have you take a look at the exterior of this 1933 Spanish bungalow. Most of these homes were built with some consistent characteristics. One being the exterior walls were made from a thick, smooth stucco. Another is the flat roof with a parapet capped by those classic red clay roofing tiles, as with around this covered porch. Another aspect of some of these homes that you'll find is the floorings were either some kind of decorative tile, or in my case, I just put down these clay pavers. Kind of goes with the simplicity of the house. Another one of the classic features of these homes are the archways, and as you can see, my entry has one with this custom-made front door. So unbeknownst to me, I thought I was the third owner of this home. I'm actually the seventh. And a funny story that I know that I am the seventh owner is one day, years and years ago, when I was out working in the garage, this big white Suburban or some SUV drove up Westminster, and this guy unrolled the window and said, "Hey, hi, I'm Steve. My grandparents built that house." So I said, "Well, come on in anytime you want and tell me the story of it. I would love to know."
My name is Steve Sheflin. My grandparents built this house. They built it in 1933. My grandfather was born in 1899, so he was a 34-year-old man when he built this house. Because he was a contractor, he painted buildings for the city of Santa Ana and the county of Orange. And that carried him through the Depression, where a lot of people didn't. And he didn't do the construction himself. There were plenty of master craftsmen around, and he utilized them, and it's well built. The house itself is constructed way better than most homes. Instead of being 2x4 frames, I believe it's 2x6. And after the framing was done, the basic stick framing, they went through and put 1x6s horizontally all around the outside of the structure, so it wasn't going anyplace. In fact, they had an earthquake either during construction or immediately after, and the house basically didn't move at all. So it's quite a marvelous place. It's California living. It's the way it ought to be.
So my story, as cliche as it might sound, is how I transformed this 1933 home into the home that it is today. I didn't change the footprint of the house in the 47 years that I've been here. That's right, 47 years. It's a long time. But when I bought the house in 1978, it was already 45 years old. So today, in 2025, marks her 92nd birthday. Pretty incredible. So what I did do when I bought the house is I knew it had good bones, but she was definitely in need of a makeover. So in the living room, the floor plan is exactly the same. However, the walls were painted this celery kind of green, and when the sun shifted around the house, it cast all these kind of unusual looking shadows. So one of the first things that I did was have these old plaster walls painted a warm white, and over the years, I've just continued with that color. One of the things I really love about sitting in this cozy living room is the fireplace. It is original to the house. It works great. It draws great. And I know that when I was reading about these Spanish bungalows, a fireplace was really a part of the home that was centrally located where people could gather. The hardwood floors are original. They've held up. I've had them redone once, and they're in the process this summer of having them redone again. The windows are original, old windows, along with the hardware. That door is original. So everything in here is how it was when I bought it in '78, and most likely how it was when it was built in '33. So when I bought the house, the kitchen really sold me. It was one of the larger ones in the area. I had looked at a few other properties on the east side, and the kitchens were extremely small. And given that I haven't changed the footprint, it was already this size. Configured a little bit different in the cabinetry, but what I do remember is there was really old oatmeal tile on the wall and some kind of formica top. Here, where this stove is, was an original old porcelain, either O'Keefe or Merritt or Wedgwood type stove. This wall was just a plain blank wall back in the day, but in this space was a really cool cabinet that went to the ceiling and had glass doors, a lot of storage. And the original kitchen countertop ended basically where this beam was, and then there was a long cabinet there. The window is the original one that was here, and another cabinet there. So over the years, I've just transformed that oatmeal into white tile, and given that the house really doesn't have a lot of the traditional Spanish or, textiles in it, I changed it into more of a cottage look. It had beadboard cabinets and white hard porcelain hardware, and that's how it stayed for a long time until I did this remodel in 2021. This built-in cabinet, once it was removed, it just opened the house up. So now one of my favorite things to do is sit at the peninsula and I can look at both ends of the yard. This back room, when the house was built, was considered a bedroom. It was listed as a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, which was interesting. These windows were here, and at this window, the kitchen area stopped, and there was a pretty good sized closet here with a pocket door, so I'm sure that's what the family considered as the 3rd bedroom. I, however, love it as a reading room. It makes a nice setting, and especially these winter afternoons when the west-facing sun comes in and just kind of cozies up the room. The 5 windows were part of the original design. They were, however, made out of wood, and they swung out, and they were held open with about a 12-inch hook and eye. So you'd open them up and hook them in at night, you'd pull them in and hook them down on the sill part. So I kept those type of windows for years, but when the remodel started, I took them back to the double hung, which is pretty characteristic of all the other ones in the house. I gutted the tongue and groove that this room was made from and just did this board and batten, and once again painted it the classic white. So I had a couple different floors over the years, but this particular wood floor has been down for about 10 years. So you want to come with me and move on, I'll take you into one of the 2 bedrooms that the house has. So this is what I call my primary bedroom. It did have a smaller opening when I originally bought the house, and just kind of opened that up. I'm sure it was smaller because of the listing of the 3rd bedroom. But not much has changed in this room either. I put in a new window. It's the exact same size as the original one. I added some shiplap and some new closet doors years ago because the original ones here were 3 panels, and for a girl trying to get into her closet, that was not working. So I've just changed them to 2 sliders, but the original configuration is all the same. I added some crown molding probably about 20 years ago, or 30, when it was popular, just to give the room a little bit more depth and character. We'll go through the hallway and the other bedroom. What's interesting, I forgot to mention before, is this house had 1 old heater. There was a vent on this side and one in the living room, which is supposed to heat up the entire house. Came about 12 inches up off the ground. When it worked well, but it wasn't very effective to heat the entire property. So the bathroom is one of my latest remodels, and the footprint is exactly the same as you see it right now. The shower area once stood an old cast iron tub with the shower curtain. There was a cabinet over the toilet like there was. The walls were plaster, so I added the shiplap, new countertop sink, brought it up a little bit taller than the standard. Hey guys, we're doing an interview here of your home. Thank you for protecting us, but we're good. Yes, it's a good boy. So this is the other bedroom in the house. Again, they're about the same size. It was once an extra bedroom, and I retired from teaching and turned it into an office. It's a really fun room to sit in and work because of all the natural lighting. And what's really fun about these old houses too is that they come with a lot of extra built-ins. So in this closet, there's a built-in dresser with 4 drawers. The hallway contains 2 built-in drawer-type dressers, which are really nice for these old homes. It has a lot of storage. The outside, as you can see, is a rather large piece of property. It's actually a lot and a half. I don't know the exact measurements, but that's what the house was listed at. It has this detached garage, which is actually 2 cars and a little bit more, so it's a little oversized. Some of the original framing is still up. I did have the walls covered with a kind of a board and batten look in there a few years ago just to give it a cleaner look. I had to replace the original cement garage floor. It was really in bad shape. So that was a fun little project to do. So when I bought the house, it did have this covered patio area. It was in pretty bad shape. The fence was falling down. The roof was in pretty good conditions, but for some reason they had 4 pillars that stood right here. There was one there, one here, and one in the end, which kind of was a little bit of a hazard if you didn't know where you were walking. But the patio was always a fun thing. The fireplace is original, and it also has this built-in griddle that's great for barbecuing. So this was all part of the original backyard. And then a couple years ago, the fence was falling down, so we put in a new fence. Again, I did that shiplap look. We just did a completely new roof, new header beam. And this is a great place to entertain, especially in winter. If it's a little cold outside, I just throw some heaters here, sit at the table, light the fire. I've had a lot of parties in this yard over the years. I taught school for many, many years, and at the end of the year in June, I would invite all the parents and my kids over, and the kids would have a huge water fight in the side yard with slip and slides and water guns, and the parents, we would hang out here and barbecue. It was always a fun time. When I redid the bathroom, I knew I'd really miss taking a bath, so I designed this little bathhouse a couple years ago, and I have a great contractor, Dennis at Quail Construction, can build anything. So I kind of designed the look that I wanted, and he just got under there, cut a few branches down, and here we have this great soaking tub, and it's just kind of my little time where I can get away and have some quiet time with the Lord and take a bath. I just love how it turned out. One of the features that came with this house, was kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, is this old basement. It's great for contractors because being on a raised foundation, it was easy for them to do any type of work. However, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but the entire thing flooded. I had water up to here, and I remember calling the Costa Mesa Fire Department. I didn't know what to do. The water was just pouring out of the top, and they came over not once but a couple times and pumped the thing out for me. So since I've gotten smarter, I have a sump pump down there now that works automatically if the yard should start to flood. Because as you can see, my side of the yard over here, which is large for this type of property, is a little bit lower than my neighbors, so the flooding's been an issue over the years. But I maintain the entire yard by myself. The avocado tree was here when I bought the house. It's a prolific Fuerte avocado tree. If you look up close, you can just see all of the avocados, the fruit that I have this year. There's so many. This side of the yard, it was one time a working vegetable garden, but it was kind of hard to keep the critters out. And then I had a potbelly pig, and so that was his outdoor area so he wouldn't mess with the dogs. And now it's just full of a lovely lilac bush and wisteria, a prolific Meyer lemon tree, and the birds just love it. So back in the day, this house was affectionately nicknamed the Alamo, and that's because of this exterior wall. When I bought it, there was nothing growing on it. No vines. It was actually very, very plain, and it got that name because of the way it looked with the slumpstone brick and the big arches over the gates, which are covered up now with the vine, but they again had those red clay roofing tiles on them, so it really did look like the Alamo. I think the previous owner that I bought it from put the wall up because he said he had a 5-year-old, and his way of keeping her safe being on this big corner lot. I had these gates made years ago. I can't even remember what the original ones looked like, but that was kind of a fun project too. Each piece of wood is doweled together and glued, and I'm in the process actually of designing new ones because these have been here so long. It's time to give them a little bit of a more modern look. One of the favorite parts of my house is this covered patio. I spend a lot of time out here in the morning with coffee and my Bible, some quiet time. I love how it just wraps around and frames the main part of the house.
Should we read the Bible today? Should we read our scripture?
Thank you for allowing me to share this incredible property with you. I know that generations before me were blessed to have lived here, as I have been for the last 47 years.
Thank you for joining us on our home tour today. Remember that 100% of proceeds go to protecting and preserving our city's heritage and culture. And if you're passionate about saving our city's bungalows, get involved. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.
We're very good today. Yes, you were. You were very good today.